Christianity, widely known as the world's largest faith, encompasses over 2 billion believers today. This number, however, only hints at the rich complexity within Christianity, a tapestry woven of history, cultures, languages, and traditions. It's not one single group, but a collection of communities shaped by centuries of evolution, debate, and spiritual searching. As we embark on this calm journey through time, let's explore how Christianity, a faith that began with a tiny group of followers 2,000 years ago, divided and branched into its three major forms: Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and Protestantism. It all starts with a man named Jesus, living in the distant hills of ancient Palestine around the year 0 on our modern calendars. His teachings, centered on love, forgiveness, and a relationship with God, inspire a group of devoted followers. After his death, these first Christians believed so deeply in his resurrection that they spread out, sharing his message at every turn, from dusty villages to bustling cities across the sprawling Roman Empire. For centuries, Christianity grows as one united church. Despite the distances and differences among its communities, Christians agree on certain core beliefs, and, significantly, on the leadership of bishops. Among them, the Bishop of Rome, soon known as the Pope, gains particular importance. Early Christian councils are called to debate theology and settle disputes. But, beneath the surface, subtle differences are already taking hold. Life in the Roman Empire is divided along east-west lines. In the West, Latin is spoken and customs are shaped by Rome. In the East, Greek is the language of commerce and learning, and traditions revolve around the great city of Constantinople. Over centuries, as the Roman Empire falters and finally splits, the Christian Church absorbs these regional personalities. Leaders in Rome and Constantinople see one another as brothers, but sometimes as rivals. The first great fracture in Christianity arrives in the year 1054. Known as the Great Schism, this moment is both sudden and gradual, the result of centuries of small tensions and misunderstandings between the Eastern and Western churches. Language differences play a significant role. Latin and Greek are not just words, but worldviews, shaping how people understand even the most basic elements of faith. Doctrinal disagreements multiply, such as whether communion bread should be leavened or unleavened, or precisely how to recite ancient prayers. But the deepest rift is about leadership. In the West, the Pope asserts authority as the visible head of the entire Christian Church. In the East, Christians insist that bishops should be equals and that any claim to supremacy disrupts the unity of faith. Wrapped around all these arguments are the turbulent politics of the time, as the once mighty Roman Empire breaks into two, the Latin West and the Greek East. In 1054, the divide becomes official. Both sides excommunicate one another, severing centuries of shared history. Western Christianity becomes what we now know as the Roman Catholic Church, centered on the Pope in Rome. Eastern Christianity becomes the Eastern Orthodox Church, led by patriarchs and characterized by a deep sense of tradition rooted in the ancient language of Greek. For 500 years, these two branches develop along distinct paths, each rich, vibrant, and complex in its own way. But the story is far from over. In the early 1500s, Europe is changing rapidly. New ideas stir as printing presses spread the written word, and people begin to question long-standing traditions. One man stands out: Martin Luther, a German monk and theologian. Troubled by corruption within the Catholic Church, especially the controversial sale of indulgences, certificates said to forgive sins in exchange for money, Luther grows increasingly convinced that true forgiveness comes from faith alone, not from anything money can buy. In 1517, he puts his complaints into words, penning the famous 95 Theses and famously posting them on the church door in Wittenberg. To his surprise, this sparks a firestorm. The Protestant Reformation, as it's called, sweeps across Europe. Its appeal is widespread. People are frustrated with church leaders who live in luxury while ordinary families struggle to survive. Protesters echo Luther's call for reform and begin to forge new paths. They argue that the Bible should be accessible to everyone, not just the clergy. They question many established teachings, arguing that personal faith, rather than church rituals or good deeds, is the key to salvation. As Luther's ideas spread, new communities take shape. Lutherans in Germany, Calvinists in Switzerland, Anglicans in England, Baptists and Methodists in later years. The Catholic Church tries to respond and reform, but it cannot halt the division. Europe is transformed forever, as Protestantism takes root in the North and West, while Catholicism remains strong in the South. Fast forward to today, and Christianity is not a single path, but a network of three great branches, each with its own traditions, strengths, and ways of understanding faith. Catholicism, led by the Pope, emphasizes the collective wisdom of centuries, valuing rituals, tradition, and the authority of the Church that traces its roots to the Apostles. It is global, but expresses a special connection to Rome, and practices 7 sacraments that mark every stage of life, from birth to death. Orthodoxy, centered in Eastern Europe and the Middle East, is no less ancient, cherishing rituals barely changed from the earliest centuries. Services are beautiful and solemn, often sung or chanted in Greek, Russian, or other local languages. Leadership is shared among patriarchs, and tradition is held as a living link to the Church of the Apostles. Protestantism, incredibly diverse, ranges from formal high church services to spirited gatherings in living rooms and community halls. The central conviction is that every believer has the right and the responsibility to read and interpret the Bible. This branch has given rise to countless churches: Lutheran, Anglican, Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal, and many more. Each offers a slightly different answer to big questions about worship, salvation, and what it means to follow Jesus. Why did Christianity split? The answer is a complex mix of language, politics, family quarrels, honest disagreements, and above all, deeply held beliefs. Just as families grow, move, and form their own ways of doing things, so too did the Christian Church. Its story is not just about separation, but about resilience, creativity, and the quest for truth across continents and centuries. Understanding the history of Christianity's branches reminds us that faith not only unites millions, but also reflects the diversity of human experience. Each tradition offers its own wisdom, and together they form a rich tapestry. For those studying history, or simply drifting off to sleep to gentle stories, this tale reveals the powerful forces, spiritual and human, that have shaped our world. So rest easy, knowing that these ancient currents continue to ripple through history and across lives, reminding us all of the extraordinary journey of faith through time. Good night and sweet dreams.